Israel, is a place where corruption, cruelty, and abuse of power is something so prominent that the people here do not dare stand up and fight. They just see it as such obvious and trivial, like we were doomed to accept and live with it. The Israeli mass media is an active part of the problem, because they always help the bigger and stronger to cover up crimes, negligence, and mistakes. The system is always right. This is especially the case of the Israeli establishment of education. Everybody knows that public schools are full with corruption, child abuse, atrocities and extreme violence. But yet nobody ever stood up and fight the system. Nobody except one person, Jacob Kandlaker, with his brave and devoted lawyer, Mr. Hannah Boulos, who representing him without fee, for 20 years. For 20 years, Jacob is handling a complicated legal battle against the most powerful state's institutions that abused him as a child over 10 years, age 6 to 16. Ruined his life and left him with severe physical disability and with mental post-traumatic depression and anxiety. Jacob, who as a child always described as smart, gifted and intelligent child, who is too gentle, quiet, introverted and shy, discovered the system made up horrible lies about him, being mentally disturbed child, that had difficulties to study, and they invented an imaginary story about sexual abuse in the family that has never ever occurred. Jacob has all the documents needed to prove his claims, yet the judge, Jenny Tanis, just ignored him and preferred to fully accept the distorted version by the defense attorneys of the state. Almost everything in the verdict is mixture of lies, slander and disinformation. Jacob was held by force for not less than 10 years as therapeutic treatment case, 9 years in special education, and another full year in a mental hospital, while in fact he was always had the highest grades in his class and was good in everything except physical education. Sophie, the teacher in junior high school fake, took advantage of Jacob's physical weakness to claim it's part of his emotional problems and not being social enough with other kids. She was always saying, no matter how good are his grades, until you are not taking part in sport class, you are not ready yet for normal class. Also later on, after a year, being forced into mental hospital, abusing him, screaming, yelling, drugging him, calling him hypochondriac and mentally sick, it discovered the real reason for his physical weakness is in fact a severe muscle dystrophy disease, SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, that was misdiagnosed as hypochondria, after the same teacher, Sophie, told horrible things like, Jacob is in such a bad mental condition that he could not climb in the stairs without help. A senior psychiatrist, Dr. Marcos Shore, an expert on child and teenagers, confirmed in 1995 that there was indeed a horrible medical negligence that led him into that mental institution. I just do not understand what they wanted from you. You should not have been committed into the mental hospital from the start. Sophie is not a doctor, but the psychiatrists and the staff of the mental institution took her word, as she told them, physically he is healthy as a bull, and they forced him to walk by foot for many kilometers in order to get in physical shape. In this official document, as presented in court by senior educational psychologist for 18 years, Mr. Menahem of Fear, confirm, describe and even justify, a well-known policy to all insiders in the system, that in case of a specific child that is being bullied and targeted by a group of children, at school, it is the best interest of the system, to punish the victim, label him as emotionally problematic, send him into psychiatric treatment, giving him drugs, even committing him into a mental hospital. Menahem of Fear writes, almost in every class there is a child who is being targeted and bullied by other kids. Usually this is a weak child both physically, mentally, and lacking basic social skills, but in the same time, being very negative, and drawing all the fire towards him. The only conditions where such a kid could survive is by getting stronger, and in the same time, showing a will to fit in. Many times it done by treatment, and the special education class is one of the educational frameworks that can help. Jacob suffered extreme violence for not less than 8 years, including a sexual assault at age 12, by a specific kid that was extremely violent and dangerous, and he was affecting other kids. Only in the 8th grade, 1992, he was arrested by the police for stabbing another 16-year-old teenager in a mall, was finally expelled from school, and only then, the violence against Jacob started to fade out and finally stopped. Still, the system kept describing Jacob as the emotionally problematic, and that what led him into the psychiatric institution at age 15.
You can read more about the case at facebook.com/abusedaschild.